Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I am making this video about the new Porsche 992, the model that was released in the LA Auto Show recently. So today I want to talk about what I like and dislike about this car, and most of all, whether I will buy one. As you can see on my screen, I have this version that I have selected with the specs that I want. I'll go through the specs in a minute. First, let's talk about the car itself. So, Porsche have made some tweaks on the outside of this car, but the inside is dramatically changed. So from the 997 to the 991, there was some small changes, but there wasn't a massive, drastic change on the inside. But this time it looks remarkably different. For me, the key thing, as I always say, is to keep the essence of the original old-fashioned cars alive. There are way too many Japanese cars out there, and other cars like Tesla with all digital dashboards and gizmos and gadgets. People don't buy a Porsche for all the tech and gizmos. They buy it because it's a driver's car. It gives you the feeling of connectedness to technology, but more so to the mechanics of the car rather than the electronics of the car. So how you feel, how does it sound, are the key things rather than how the dashboard displays. My biggest gripe with the Porsche Panamera Sport Turismo and the new Panamera was that they put too many digital gadgets on it. One of the things that really wound me up was and I think I mentioned this in one of my previous videos, was the little air vents in the middle of the car in the Panamera Sport Turismo and the standard one, which are electronically controlled, so you have to go through the menus to change the direction of the airflow, whereas the ones on the corner, especially the one on the passenger seat at the far end that you can't reach, is manual. So stupidity to an nth degree. But hopefully they won't have those air vents in this car. The inside I actually like, except that I think they should have left the dashboard to analog. They've left just the rev counter in analog, everything else is digital. I think it kind of ruins the car, but we shall see. Overall, on the outside, the car looks beautiful, as you can see. I will go through the specs and things. I particularly like the rear lights, the way the bumper is done, the exhausts. They have done the GT2 RS styled exhausts in this car. And yeah, overall, I like the look of the car. It's still a 911 when you look at it. And then the inside, obviously, as we talked about, I'm not sure if I like this gear stock because it is this tiny little joystick. Obviously, if I were to buy this car, I wouldn't have a steering wheel with all these buttons on it either. It would just be a plain sports steering wheel. I do like this brown leather interior. It's like light brown coffee / tobacco shade. I had this in my agate grey 991.1 that I had, and I really loved it. It makes the car look really beautiful. But I think if I was to buy one this time, it would be white. White outside, brown inside would make it look very classy inside. So the car that I've chosen is in white, because I think if you have a white car, you can put stripes on it, you can do various things. Even though I love my car's original color, which is yellow, I think it's much harder to have it wrapped in things because those kind of colors show from every nook and cranny. So this time I think I would buy a white one, and then I can do more changes to it. As you can see, the back of the car, really beautiful, very simple. I kept this 911 badge. That's the only thing I think I would want. Other than that, there's nothing else that I want on the back of it. I'll go through the detailed spec and show you what I'm looking for and what I would like to have. And then I will tell you whether I'm going to buy one or not. So here is the car, quite pretty. let's go into the specs. So what I want this time is definitely a 911 4S, ideally a GTS again, but it will all depend on availability and the sound of the car. The main thing for me this time is the sound of the car. I've made this mistake with the 718S. I bought it before seeing the car in the flesh, driving it, and this time I don't want to do the same thing and buy a car that sounds really awful. The 991.2 did sound really bad, which is why I never bought it. But I hope they have fixed those sound problems. Because of the turbos, there is a lot of muffled sound that one expects from a Porsche to have a very good, raspy, clear sound. As you can see, the base price is £98,000 and the price for equipment is £18,000. These are the things that I've chosen. The key things that I think I should point out is that I've chosen the truffle brown leather interior with crayon stitching because contrast stitching always looks good. Electric slide tilt glass sunroof. Sunroofs are very important in these coupes because it's a small car, and if you have a darker interior it makes it look a bit stuffy. If you have a glass roof it looks really good. Privacy glass, I'm not so keen on it generally, but I think on a white car having a slight tint looks good. Then the model designation of the one that I showed you earlier, where I didn't want the car to have too much on the back, that's what it is. Electric folding mirrors and courtesy lighting. I don't particularly like the folding mirrors, but I think I had to choose these because of some other option that I had chosen. This one comes with an 8-speed PDK. To be honest, as I said when I was discussing my other Aston Martin, that I chose the one which is 6-speed over 8-speed is because when you're switching it into manual and driving it with the paddle shifters, if you have an 8-speed car, you're changing gears constantly. So I'd rather have a car with less gears, but I guess they're trying to make it more efficient and they're not to 60 figures and all that BS that all these companies do. Rear axle steering, very important thing. I drove a couple of cars with that and I found that it does make a rather interesting big difference to the drive of the car. Obviously a sports exhaust system. I mean, you can't have a Porsche without a decent exhaust system, otherwise it will just sound really poor and bad. Sport chrono package, never actually used it, but it's one of those things that you have to buy with the car because when you're selling it, everyone asks for it, even though no one ever uses it. PASM, I used to think that PASM was included with these cars, but apparently this is an option, so I chose that. These wheels, I wanted the standard, well, I don't know if they're standard, but they're sort of the basic looking wheels. They look nicer than all those fancy, I'm sure they'll bring out tons of other wheels, but because it's the newer start of the launch, they have a smaller selection of wheels. But after having the center locking wheels and the associated nightmare, I think I'll just go for the simple wheels, so I can have winter wheels and have them changed and balanced wherever I want, rather than always looking for specialist dealers or workshops rather. Wheel centers with full color Porsche crest, £114, outrageous. These are the kind of things that Porsche fleeces you on. So basically these are the little tiny things in the middle of the wheels that you have to pay £114 for these little plasticky things, but that's how it is. LED main headlights including PDLS. So PDLS I definitely like, but I don't like LED lights, and it's something that I have mentioned before and I keep banging on about. LED lights may be good for the driver because he can see better, but they're really, really bad for cars coming from the other direction. Whenever you look at a car which has an LED light, you can tell it's really white, it's blinding, it's not very good. So I think over the long term, unless they improve and fix it, they will realize that they cause more damage than they're worth, and they'll probably end up banning them at some point because they really blind the other driver. Many people don't know, but we have things in our eyes called cones, and the more light that hits these cones, they're burnt. as in they're used up, and then we can't see better in the dark. So that's why it takes some time for those cones to replenish in our retina, and when you look at a bright light at night, it blinds you for a bit, and that's because the cones are burnt, and then you have to wait for them to replenish. Anyway, it's a medical thing. Me being a doctor know how it works, and it kind of bugs me that they don't realize that these LED lights blind the other driver coming from the other direction. Automatic dimming interior and exterior mirrors with integrated rain sensors. Integrated rain sensors in Porsches are utterly useless. Those of you who have it will know that they don't really work. Well, they work, but they work very annoyingly. They'll work when you don't really need them at a different speed to what you want them. You can keep adjusting, so you spend more of your time trying to adjust the right interval than just carrying on with the driving. But because I needed the interior and exterior dimming mirrors, I chose to have, well, you have to have that rain sensor. Park assist front and rear, including reverse camera. I think it's very important. I put one in my GTS, so very important. Lane assist and speed limit indicator. I think I wanted the speed limit indicator, which is a camera in the front of the car that reads the speed limit signs on the roads and then alerts you. I think the lane assist comes with it, so I had to get that. I don't know what the benefit of lane assist is. Comfort access is when you are getting out of the car and it pushes the seat back and the steering up just to give you more space to get out. Again, this should be standard. I mean, this is just utter bullshit on Porsche's part to charge you £387 for that. Other cars give it to you for free. Adaptive cruise control, I think it's £1,200, but it's very useful. I've had it in a couple of cars, and it saves you the hassle of disabling and enabling cruise control on a motorway constantly when cars are slowing down. HomeLink is the remote control for the gates and things that I need and have in all my cars. Light design package. There's nothing designer or design about this. I don't know why they call it the light design package. Basically, it means they'll put lights inside the car, so when you open the doors, the lights come on in the footwells and other places. Again, £336 should be standard, but they charge you for it. Sport seats, 14-way electric with memory package, £1,500. I mean, these are kind of, again, standard things that all the other brands give you with the car, but Porsche charge you for it. And I think the current ones I have are 18-way, which are a bit too excessive. I never really use them enough, so I thought I should get slightly lesser ones because the other ones are even more expensive. GT Sport steering wheel, because I wanted a smaller steering wheel. I don't like the bigger one, so I chose this. Smoker package. This gives you a lid on top of the ashtray. So basically, you're paying £38 to get a lid on top of your ashtray. Otherwise, it's just an open little space, and which looks ugly. Leather interior package. This is, I think, the dashboard and other places, $758. So I want to make sure that there's leather on the dashboard in various places on the door sills. I don't know if it's on the door sills, but definitely on the door panels. Porsche crest embossed, £161. I mean, again, you're buying a Porsche, they should put the crest on the headrest. Finally, in the sound system, I've chosen the Bose surround sound system. If they had Bang & Olufsen, I would have chosen that. The other one they have is the Burmester, I think it's pronounced. It's very expensive, and I'm not sure if it's worth the money because I've listened to it. It doesn't really do much for me. So that's the car I have chosen. Now let's get back to whether I'm going to place an order for this car or not. Okay, so I have shown you what I want to buy, and as in which model I like. So that's the spec of the car I want. So one of the dealers, I don't buy all my cars from one dealer. Whoever has the car that I want, I buy it. But the one from Porsche Centre, West London, they're very nice. Well, not all of them, obviously, because I don't know them. There's only one person I deal with, a lady, who is really, really lovely. So she rang me and said if I was interested, I could place an order. And I said, sure. I will look at the specs and do some research and I'll come back to you. So I did this spec and I sent her the details and I said, okay, I don't want to sell the GTS because I like it, and I think it's one of the cars that I want to keep for a long time because it's a naturally aspirated engine. So how about I part exchange my Aston Martin? Not that I'm not 100% sure if I want to sell that car, but I think if I had to make a choice between the two, I will sell the Aston Martin because I can replace it easily compared to the 911 GTS, especially in the spec and the condition that mine is. So she said okay, gave her the details of my car. Now mind you, my car has done, the Aston Martin has done I think 17,000 miles. It has Aston Martin warranty, it's been serviced, it has had its aircon redone, as in the gas and cleaning and all of that. I have the latest sat-nav updates done. I mean, everything in that car costs £1,000 easily. So service is £1,000. Anyway, the point is that the car is in immaculate condition, very low mileage, still under warranty, and so I said, okay, tell me what you will do. And they came back with the most stupid offer as a part exchange, which is £20,000 less than what Aston Martin are offering me if I go and buy a DB11 from them. If I buy a DB11 and I hand in my repeat, they would give me £20,000 more than what Porsche are offering me to buy a 911. So I said, you're a lovely person, I really like you, and I would happily buy a car from you. I bought cars from her before, so, but I think that if you think my car is worth £20,000 less than what Aston Martin are offering me to you, then your car is worth £20,000 less than what is listed on this to me. Because a product is only worth as much as the person willing to pay for it. I'm not going to pay £120,000 for your car. If you sell me yours for 100, we have a deal. And she gave me all this story, oh no, it will go to an auction, and this is how it is, and we're not making any money from it. But unfortunately, this is how all dealers work. They want to make £10,000 at least on the car they take from you for the part exchange, and then they want to make £10,000 on the car that they sell you. So they make £20,000 every time you change a car. I think that Porsche are getting very, very greedy, and it's the spec, the thing that I've described in it, overpriced for what they are. They're nice cars, but time will tell. When I hear the engine and the sound of the car, it will be very, very important in deciding whether I want to buy one or not. And she knows the whole story. Her sales manager for Porsche West London and several other Porsche dealers in Reading and East London, they all know this story with me. I've had so many Porsches, yet they're unable to retain a long-standing Porsche customer. This is the opportunity. They can help me switch back from Aston Martin to Porsche by making me happy. But instead, the way this looks so far, I will, if I change the car again, I will probably end up buying an Aston Martin. Why would I be stupid enough to give £20,000 to Porsche then that I wouldn't need to do if I went to Aston Martin? Obviously, those of you who are watching, everyone has different views, and people will say, oh well, Aston Martin will have their own discounts and they will take a loss in one car and adjust it in the other and all that. It works across the board for all dealers. This is not Porsche selling the cars directly. These are dealerships, franchises and other companies who own distribution of Porsche cars that are selling them. So don't get caught up in this BS that they sell you, that you have to do this and blah blah blah. The issue is that people have too much money, not enough sense, not enough understanding. The banks are lending everyone so much money that they have the buying power. Whether they can actually afford the car is a different story. They have the buying power and they're going out stupidly throwing their money away. I have done that as well, so I'm not saying I'm very clever. I've done that stupidly before, but I'm not going to fall into that trap again. And I've become wiser. I think that if people don't make a stand against these organizations, if everyone keeps doing what they do, nothing will change. So yes, I love my cars, and I'm sure those of you who watch this channel love your cars and you want to have them, but be wiser and smarter and make informed decisions when you're buying these cars. Don't fall into the trap of dealers trying to sell you whatever they think they can get out of you. So, thanks for watching. As always, leave me your comments. I love hearing from all of you, even those who send me some abuse from time to time. At least you watch my stuff, so I appreciate it. Everyone can't agree with me, and I can't make everyone happy, and that's not the intention. This channel isn't about pleasing the world. This is about my life and describing how I feel and how I see things. It's about honesty and transparency. It's not about selling something. So, see you soon.